have reached CO12, which is estimating the square root of a number. So yesterday, or Friday, Thursday, whatever it was, that chart that we filled out at the top of CO11, those are all called perfect squares because they work out evenly, right? If I ask you for the root of 81, what number times itself is 81?
It is
9, right? It works out evenly. That's pretty. Okay, no decimals to work with, nothing like that. Okay, and perfect squares are helpful because, I mean, they're called perfect squares for a reason. Okay, if you know the area of a square is 25 square yards, let's just draw this out. Let's draw a square here. That's more rectangular-ish, but I can do better than that. Come on, Schultz, I know it's a Monday, but let's do this. Square. Nice. Okay? And if we know the area is 25, we got that area from multiplying the base times the height. Right? The formula for the area of a square is base times height. So if we know the area is 25, that means we multiplied the base times the height. What would the base and the height have to be to get an area of 25 on a square? 5, right? We know that a square, all sides are the same. So the area of a square, it's not a coincidence that it's a perfect square. It works out evenly. If we take the root of 25 to know what number times itself is 25, we then know the side lengths of the square, because 5 times 5 equals 25. Okay? So the perfect squares are called perfect squares for a reason. If we have a square with an area of 81, we know that the side lengths would be 9 and 9. If we have a square with an area of 16, the side lengths would be 4 and 4. If we had a square with an area of 196, the side lengths would be 14 and 14. Okay? They're called perfect squares for a reason. However, if we have the area of a square that is 34, that means something times itself equals 34. What number times itself is 34? It's not going to work out pretty. Because 5 times 5 is 25, 6 times 6 is 36, we skip over 34. So this would be called a non-perfect square, and that's what we're going to focus on today. These non-perfect squares that are not pretty. If you look at the chart on CO11, you will not see the root of 34, the root of 180, the root of 5, or the root of 68, because they're not perfect squares. Okay? However, we're going to use our chart from CO11 to help us, right? Just like I said, the root of 34, we know that this is between the root of 25 and the root of 36. Right? Root 34 is between the root of 25 and the root of 36. We know what the root of 25 is, yes? 5. We know what the root of 6 is, or we know what the root of 36 is, right? 6. That means that the root of 34 is a decimal somewhere between 5 and 6. Right? Let's just recap this a little bit here. If the root of 34, which we know is not a perfect square, it's not on the chart, nothing times itself equals 34, but we know that it's between the two perfect squares, the root of 25 and the root of 36, we know it's between 5 and 6, because 5 is the value of the root of 25 and 6 is the value of root of 36. Okay? So this is a decimal somewhere between those two numbers. Who's got a logical guess as to what that decimal might be? Is it going to be like 5.1? Is it going to be 5.5? Is it right in the middle? Is it going to be like 5.8? What do you think? Connor?
5.82.
Why do you oh, so precise. How did you get 5.82?
No, it's closer to 6.
Closer to 6, okay? Now you went out to the nearest hundredth. I'm only going to require you to go to the nearest 10, okay? But Connor's saying, 34 is really close to 36. Which means that if we think about this as like, 5.5 is in the middle of 5 and 6, If the root of 34 is closer to the root of 36, that means that our decimal is going to be on this side of 5.5. It's going to be closer to 6 than it is to 5. And so Connor said 5.82. I would accept 5.8. I would even accept 5.7. I would accept 5.9. It's just an estimation. Remember, you don't have a calculator for this part of the test. You can't just plug this in. You have to understand kind of the perfect square spectrum, where the root of 34 lands, and how you can use that to estimate it out. Okay? So if we had a square with the area of 34, what this is saying is that its side lengths, here's our square, its area is 34, its side lengths would be approximately 5.8 and 5.8, because 5.8 times 5.8 is about 34. Not exactly, okay, but about 34. Okay, if you are totally, completely confused right now, ask a question. Otherwise, if you're like, okay, I can kind of see where these numbers are coming from, then we'll do a couple more examples and clarify things. But if anybody totally, you don't know where the 25 came from, you don't know where the 36 came from, just really lost. Great, all right then, let's go, okay? Root of 180. What perfect square am I putting on this side of 180? What's the perfect square less than 180? Yeah.
13.
13, which is the root of 169. Right? What's the next largest perfect square? 14, which is the root of
The answers.
196. Right? So again, that chart from CO11 is so important to put on a help sheet. Because you can look at that table and think, hey, root 180, what two numbers is this in between? It's between 169 and 196, which means it's between 13 and 14, right? This is everything. Being able to identify where on our perfect square kind of table do these numbers fall here. So it's between 13 and 14, somewhere between there. Is it closer to 13 or closer to 14?
14 to 14.
Why do we say 14? I said the same thing you said 13, right? Like how can we tell what it's closer to?
Wait, no, it's 13.
Why is it 13?
Because it's only 11 away.
Sure. 180 is 11 away from 169. How far away is it from 196?
16.
16. So it's closer to 169 than it is to 196, which means it's closer to 13 than it is to 14. Okay? Now if this was our middle point here, here's 13.5. We know it's on this side, less than 13.5. Is it like 13.1? Is it really close to 169? Or what would you think? It's kind of in the middle, so like maybe 13.4, okay? It's not 13.5, right? Because it is definitely closer to 169. It's 11 away versus 16 away. So it's not going to be right exactly in the middle, but 13.4, 13.3, Packers won over the weekend, so I would even accept 13.2, okay? Spirit of Christmas. But again, it's an estimation here, right? It means you get it at least on the correct side of like half of where it belongs. A little more clear? Starting to pick up what I'm throwing down? Okay? Next one, root of 5. What root goes on the left side of it?
1.
Nope, not the root of 1. There's one closer. Yes, the root of 4, which is 2, right? What goes on the other side? What's the next largest perfect square? Layla. Root of 9, which is 3. So the root of 5 is somewhere between 2 and 3. Is it closer to 2 or closer to 3?
3.
And how do you know that?
Because it's only 1 away.
Right. 5 is only 1 away from 4, but it's 4 away from 9. So it's closer to 4 than it is to 9, which means it's closer to 2 than it is to 3. Are we seeing this?
Yeah.
Right? Can we all agree that 5 is closer to 4 than it is to 9? Okay, and that means that its value is going to be closer to 2, because the root of 4 equals 2, than it is to 3. So what would be a good decimal estimation here? Madison?
2.2.
2.2. What else would I accept here?
2.5.
I want to accept 2.5.
Oh,
Because
2.4.
2.5 would be like right in the middle, and it's
2.8.
clearly closer to the 2 than it is the 3.
Okay.
So I wouldn't accept 2.5, but what else might I accept? Yeah. 2.3, I mean, it's only 1 away from 4. I would accept 2.1. Packers 1, so I would even take 2.4, but I wouldn't take 2.5 because that tells me that you think it's right in the middle, which it's not. It is closer to 2 because 5 is closer to 4. All right. Next one, the root of 68. Go ahead and try this one on your own. What two perfect squares are going to go on either side? What's the next smallest perfect square? Look at your table. CO11 has all the information that you need here, which is why it should go on a help sheet. All right, what number goes on the left side of it? 64. Which is equal to
8.
8. Okay. What number goes on the right side of it?
81.
81, which is equal to
9.
9. Okay, now might come the tricky part. What's it going to be closer to? Is it closer to 8 or closer to 9? And to make that decision, we look at, is 68 closer to 64 or closer to 81? Everybody wants, is it closer to 8 or closer to 9?
8.
Closer to 8, right? Because the root of 68 is only 4 away from 64, whereas it's 13 away from 81. So, knowing it's closer to 8 than it is to 9, what are we thinking? What would a good estimation decimal be here? Layla? 8.3, I take that. What else would I accept? 8.2, I take that one. Good. Liam?
8.1.
Sure, the Packers won. 8.1 is fine. Okay? Any of those? Okay. What questions do you have? CO11, that table is going to be the best thing to use to start. And then you look at the numbers that you have, decide which one is closer to you to get that estimation down. Okay? For your homework, it does say to show your work. This is the work I need to see. Okay? Exactly what I did up here, exactly what you wrote down on your page is what you should need to do. You don't have to write 4 different answers. You can just write one of them. Okay? But I need to see the perfect squares, I need to see the number line, I need to see the arrows, right? All this stuff up here, the work is what I need to see on your page. Your homework is not going to be all of CO12, so please pay attention as to what it's going to be. You need to do these 8. The bottom 4 on the first page, and the top 4 on the second page. That is all. Okay? The 2 Mr. Happy Pencil sections are all you need to do. Not the critical thinking, not the real world, not the time for review. Just these 2 sections here. Kind of an abbreviated assignment, focusing on the basics so that we can get the test in before Halloween, and you have next Monday out of school, and then All Saints Day. It's just, you gotta kind of get this in on Wednesday. So just 8 questions for homework. The bottom 4 on the first page, the top 4 on the second page. Make sense?
Yep.
Madison?
Do we have math on Saturday?
Yes, it's at 9:30, so you'll miss most of periods 3 and 4. Where we can't do an adjusted shortened schedule or anything like that. Mass is Friday at 9:30, yes.
Friday, Thursday. Do we have math on Wednesday?
No.
No, Wednesday is a normal day. Friday is All Saints Day. It's a holy day of obligation, so we're doing mass on Friday. That's at 9:30 in the morning.
So we're missing 3 and 4.
Correct. Correct. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, compliments, congratulations, criticisms on this? Yes.
We just do the same thing as everybody.
The exact same thing as we did together, yes. Make sure you are showing your work. If all you have is an answer, I will not give you credit, okay? All right, that's INF.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.